Alright everyone, so I have a few videos out there now showing you guys how to make gold, but what I wanted to do today is share with you guys why I'm saving the vast majority of my gold and why you might want to consider doing the same thing. Now, I've spent a little bit because I know a few videos ago I actually had over 100 million, but I still haven't sold most of my gold chests. So going to my inventory here, I still have all of the UR ones, all the SSR ones. I might have sold a couple SR ones, but you know, still looking at a huge additional chunk of gold there. So I really am going all out for this, but the problem is we don't actually have the complete version of this in our version of the game yet. The difference between having the complete version and the version that we have now is absolutely huge, even though it might not actually seem that way. And I wanted to explain the reason why it makes such a big difference, and it has to do with the concept of bottleneck resources. So let's get into what you want to use a lot of gold on as you kind of get to that stage in the game where you're farming really quickly, you're able to make a lot of gold from, you know, half stamina books, and it starts to pile up. Now, I say this because if you're still earlier on, you know, you absolutely want to make sure to save a decent amount of gold for all the important things like awakening, working on gear, you know, buying materials, doing whatever you have to do. All that stuff takes priority. But you're going to get to a point where you just start to farm and accumulate gold to a crazy point, and this is going to be what you want to spend it on. But not yet. Not yet. Now is not the time. So it's going to be the equipment draw right here, and it's going to be the gear gacha, but we don't have the complete version of this yet. Now, if you look at the actual icon right here, I want to show you guys the icon of what this might look like in the future when it is released, because it's a little bit different. So there it is. Now, I don't know if you can tell a difference, but I'll give you guys a little bit of a hint. It's that item in the center towards the top. And that is something we do not have in our version of the gear gacha, and it makes a massive, massive difference. And that is, of course, hammers. So right now we only have anvils in our version of the gear gacha, and when hammers are introduced into the game, you know, hopefully at the same time or very shortly afterwards, they will introduce them into the gear gacha as well. And even though the drop rate on anvils is pretty low and the drop rate on hammers is going to be even lower, the fact that they are such a huge bottleneck resource makes it absolutely worthwhile and a game changer once they actually are added. Now, what do I mean by bottleneck resources? Well, as you play the game longer and longer and you work on more units, you know, the things that were normally very difficult to get earlier on, like chalices and awakening stones, those become a little bit easier. You start to find yourself having more excess of those, and it becomes certain items that are really the thing that you're really trying to get the most. And those are, of course, going to be your anvils and your hammers, because those are the items that you need in order to re-roll the substats of your gear, or the bonus roll, I guess you could say. Now, this is really important, and the difference between anvils and hammers is absolutely huge. So I want to explain why anvils are, you know, kind of like the smaller version of hammers. Maybe that's not the best way of saying it. Hammers are kind of more valuable. One hammer is more valuable than one anvil. I guess that's a better, way to put it. But even then, not really the best comparison. It's just important to understand how huge hammers are when they're going to be added to the game and how big of a difference they're going to make. So when it comes to re-rolling your actual stats, anvils are going to completely re-roll a bonus roll. So this attack roll here, if I were to re-roll it, it could end up rolling on any of the other substats. It could roll attack, pierce rate, crit chance, or crit damage. 1 in 4 chance, obviously, right? So you risk it. If I want to keep attack on, this bracelet, if I use anvils, I risk 3/4 of the time not landing on attack. And therefore, if I really want to improve the attack on an attack bracelet, it requires a lot of anvils of re-rolling in order to do so, because 3/4 of the time, I'm not even going to get attack rolled anyway. Then on top of that, obviously, I have to roll higher than 2%. It is very resource intensive. Well, that is where hammers come in play, because hammers are going to allow you to improve the stats of a bonus roll without actually risking it landing on something else. So now, it's not going to re-roll it to, possibly pierce rate, crit chance, or crit damage. It's going to stay attack, and that alone is absolutely huge. So right off the bat, you can almost think of hammers as like 4 times as valuable as anvils, maybe even more than that. It's a weird approximation. Don't think of the numbers too seriously, as kind of the example of why hammers are so important and why, one hammer is considered to be more valuable than one anvil. Now, these will be added to the game with the training cave, and there will be other ways to get them, but you're never really going to end up getting a ton of them. And when they are actually added to the gear gacha, the price of the gear gacha is not going to go up. It's still going to be 200,000. And having them in the actual draw pool, even though the chance is low, it's absolutely huge given how big of a bottleneck resource it is. So getting into the details right here, if you go to Anvils, you'll see that it is a 5.36% drop rate, right? And it's the same as the 4-star Awakening Stone, which is in the SR or the 4-star category, right? So the Anvil mirrors the same drop chance as the Awakening Stone. But if we actually go up to SSR items here, you'll see that it's just the Awakening Stone, right? And Anvils are not in the SSR category. They're in the SR category. And eventually, to my knowledge, and I don't play JP, so not everything might be 100% exact, but to my knowledge, hammers end up getting added to the SSR section, and the drop rate of hammers mirrors the drop rate of 5-star Awakening Stone. So we're looking at roughly a 0.8% drop rate. So roughly 1 in 100 or so. That might seem really low, but again, given how big of a bottleneck resource they are, and the fact that they are relatively more powerful than one Anvil is, just having them in the gear gacha makes a major difference. So when it comes to the value of what you're getting out of your draws, you can almost think of it this way as well, as if you do a bunch of draws right now on the gear gacha without hammers added, then you're kind of missing out, right? You're paying the same price, but you're not giving yourself that chance of getting them. Whereas if you save your gold and you hoard it, kind of like what I'm doing, when hammers are added to the game, and they're added to the gear gacha, then you'll be able to pay the same price of 200,000 per multi-draw, and also give yourself that chance of getting all those hammers in addition to the anvils and pretty much everything else that the gear gacha is going to provide as well. So that's the way that I like to think about it. I'm all about efficiency. That's kind of the name of the game for me. Now, I will say, like, if you immediately need the things from the gear gacha to progress your account, like you still need Awakening Stones, or like you really need a few anvils, it's not bad to summon on it right now. You know, who knows when hammers will come out? Who knows when they'll add them to the gear gacha? It could be a while, so you're going to have to be really patient, and that doesn't mean that you should do no draws at all. But, you know, I am all about efficiency, and this is what I am saving my gold for, knowing I'm going to get more value out of it if I'm patient and I wait. Now, another really important thing as well, if you want to go absolutely min-max to the extreme, and this is really like extremo mode here, because this could still be a while before this happens, but if you want to wait until not only hammers come out and they're added to the gear gacha, but also wait until the next salvage event, that's going to be the absolute #1, without a doubt, best time to draw on this. Because, you know, when you actually do draws on the gear gacha, most items are not going to be hammers and anvils, obviously. Those only have a combined drop rate of like 6%. It's mostly going to be other gear, you know, other Awakening Stones. This is going to clog up your inventory. So you're basically going to have to just salvage it right away. And that's why also this new quality of life feature is so awesome for the gear gacha, because you're just going to be salvaging a lot of this stuff in order to make room to do more draws. Now, with the salvage event, of course, all the stuff that you salvage while you're doing pulls on the gear gacha is going to give you an increased chance of getting Awakening Stones as well. So you give yourself additional Awakening Stones while waiting until hammers come out, and you're really just getting that 2-for-1 special and absolute maximum efficiency to the extreme. So, you know, hopefully what would be awesome if Netmarble wants to be a bro, they can release hammers, put them in the equipment draw at the same time that they're released, and also run a salvage event at the same time. That would be the absolute ultimate dream right there, and if that happens, you could trust me, I'm going all out. All of my gold, except for maybe like a couple million in reserve, just to save it for other things in case I need it, but basically all of my gold will be going to that immediately if it happens. But you know, this is definitely something you want to consider, especially when you get to the point, you know, that I'm kind of at, where, you know, I don't really need the vast majority of my gold to do things like awaken units, work on gear, buy materials from the store, all that stuff. Sure, I spend gold on it, which is why my gold has still been going down a little bit over the last week or two instead of up. But the vast majority of gold, you know, I don't need to spend it, and I farm it way quicker. And I want to make sure that when I do spend it, I get the best value for it as possible. So if you are still newer and you need your gold to prioritize on doing other important things like awakening or working on equipment, that's your #1 priority. It's not really until you get to the point where you have extra gold where this is something that you want to consider. But, you know, if you do have that extra gold, this is easily going to be one of the best ways that you can put it to use. So I wanted to give you guys this information. Hopefully it helped out. I'm really hoping that it did. And now you guys kind of have a little bit of a backstory as to why you might see my gold digits still, in the triple million digits for a while, at least until hammers come out. So with that all being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed and that you liked this video. If you did and you want more videos in the future like this, consider subscribing to the channel. If you want to help out, take a quick second to leave a quick like as well. It means more than you can imagine. So thank you so much to all of you who decide to do that. And more 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross Global videos should be popping up on the screen right about now. Feel free to check them out. But if not, until next time, take care everyone, have a fantastic day. And this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.